What's up, guys? This is Backlog Gaming here, and today what I have for you is my impressions of PvE in Blade and Soul. So, without wasting any time, let's go ahead and get into them and see what I like, what I don't like, and some things that you may find controversial, or I may find controversial, or whoever may find controversial. Anyways, let's get into pros. So, first thing I'm going to name off, and everybody that's been eyeballing this game knows that the art style of just the Asian art style of this game, the Kung Fu and all that goodness, it looks good. It looks good. Like, you can't deny the fact that this doesn't look good. I mean, it may not be an art style that you necessarily like, but it doesn't look like total fucking asshole, which is going to be a plus in my book. That is a pro. I like the style of the weapons. I like how, yeah, they are Asian influence, so they're sometimes super massive. But I mean, you can't sit there and knock on it. That goes hand in hand with the look of the game. I like the look of the abilities. I like how you transition. I like how it makes you imitate speed here with the sprint ability and the flying abilities. You know, I feel like all this is good. This is better than a mount. Like, if you had infinite stamina, this is better than a mount system in my book. So, yeah, they did a good job. Now, I've only been playing the Summoner. I have seen other classes, like, walking around, but I've only played Summoner, so I don't really know what it is, but the art style of the Summoner, I'm fine with. You have the cat that's there, and then you also have you know, your nature abilities. As you can see, I'm shooting giant flowers and shit out, which probably not the most manly thing to play, but whatever. I like it. I wanted to try something different. You get the pet cat, which is cool. So I'm just doing some questing here right now that you're seeing on screen. So, but yeah, overall art style looks good. Attacks look good. Everything. So, like, there's that giant flower attack. So I like the art style of the game. So that's, to me, worth it when you're seeing that. So that's gonna basically determine whether or not I'm going to play an MMO, is mainly its art style. So with that, let's get into the second thing. The second thing that I have to say about this game is that the storyline. The storyline is good. You know, it's above average than other MMORPGs in my book. Some MMORPGs have horrible stories, where you don't even pay attention to them. You just fucking press the F key or press whatever key you need to just make this brutal story just stop. I just want to get to max level and play some raids or something. I mean, that is possible sometimes how that happens, so keep that in mind. Well, the storyline, a little bit more details about reasons why. It's fully voice acted. It does have cutscenes built into it. If there's one thing that I can't say enough about this, is that this is a free-to-play MMORPG. So what you could do is you could download this, play the storyline. Play the storyline like it's a free game, and you won't be disappointed at all. I mean, if you take anything away from this review, I highly recommend that you at least try out this MMO. From there, you know, it's quest-based, it's traditional quest-basing. So, I mean, it's nothing that you haven't seen before. Pick quest A, go do objective B, return back for C. So, keep that in mind when you're doing it. It's going to be the same old questing style that we've always had. Now, with some things that you see is that there are some times where you're going to need a party to complete some tasks. They make this very easy by not having a holy trinity. That's a great thing about this game, is that there's no holy trinity. So I can play whatever fucking class I want, and it doesn't take me for fucking ever to get queues. That's one thing I can't fucking stand about some games that with the holy trinity, is that I feel that since I normally play these games with no friends, that I'm a solo type player is what I'd be classified, that have to fucking play a healer or a tank in order to get queues. And I hate that. I really don't want to do that, you know what I mean? But sometimes you just gotta do in order to play a game. So you may have to play that tank class that you don't. You may have to play, you know, that healing class that you don't want to play. But this doesn't have that. This does not have a holy trinity. It's like Guild Wars 2. You get 5 people together, 6 people, 4 people. You get however many people you want together, and you can go ahead and just do the content and have fun. So that's a plus. And it's cross-server queues. So if we're cross-server queues, what that already tells me is that it's less time waiting, less time for me screaming on my server to find somebody. So that's a plus. If I can go cross-server, I will gladly go cross-server in order to get it. So keep that in mind, guys. Now, go with this here. But next thing on the list that I have, let's see here. The gear progression. Now, the gear progression of this game is very, very interesting. And when I say that it's very, very interesting, it's not like other MMOs that I've seen. What this will offer you is an option to upgrade your current weapon. So, let me get to a save point here and pop on my inventory. So, you see how this says max a level? And then I can go in here to manage equipment. Basically, when I take this item, the Infernal Staff, and combine it with the Centerlands item, it transforms, and then I can pump other weapons that my class can't use or can use into it in order to make it more powerful and increase its stats. So I never worry about, I do have to worry somewhat about getting a certain drop sometimes, but it's not the end of the world. Like, you just keep, and it even tells you where to get the drop when you're in the upgrade system. Not only is this upgrade system for your weapons, it is also for your your jewelry and everything like that. So your rings, your amulets, and your earrings, all that is what it's for. So keep that in mind too, that it's just not the main weapon, it's everything. Even your wheel that you have here, you can use that in order to level that up for increased stats. So that's huge to me, honestly. It makes the game, as a grinding aspect of the game that doesn't really feel like grinding, but let me make use of other shit that I can't use otherwise, is smart. It's smart on their end to do that. I view it as a plus just because. So I view it a plus on their end of how they're approaching how you gear your character. Now, I don't know if my staff that I started out at the beginning of the game that I've been upgrading all this time is a top tier staff or not. I really don't care because it's just fun to do. Like, it's making me better as a character, as I am right now. So that's the plus. Next thing is that this game is free to play, and what that means is I have zero investment in this. Zero. Yeah. Since they do offer a sub if you want to use it, you do get some benefits. There's actually quite a lot of benefits to the sub if you want to use it. I personally have not used the sub at all the whole time I've been playing. Never once have I thought, has it ruined my progress of the game, or I've been forced upon myself to go ahead and sub. So keep that in mind. I know that's a big thing with a lot of people. I don't feel like this is play to win right now with the leveling aspect. I can't speak about in-game. That impression will be coming once I reach there. But from there, I don't see this game being too like pay to win, obviously. So, and I like that about it. It's like, I understand that you guys are trying to make money. I understand that you're trying to do certain stuff and everything like that, but you're not twisting my arm to subscribe to your MMO, or let alone forcing me to subscribe to the MMO. So with that being said, let's get into the last few things. The class versatility. There's no classes that are like, oh, this is like this and this is like this. There's distinct differences between my class versus somebody else's class versus a third person's class. Like, that to me is important, that you have that diversity. So it's not like, oh, well, somebody's the best healer. Like, we offer 2 healers, but they're almost exactly the same. But we're gonna go ahead and offer them, and then people are only gonna want to play the best healer. They're not gonna want to play the other healing class. So keep that in mind too, is that the game is fair It does seem pretty well balanced too, to where one class shines over the other, but perfect balance is never a real thing that developers get. It's something they strive for, which they should, but it's never something that's a given. Like, nothing's ever going to be perfect. So keep that in mind. And the last thing that I have to say about this is that the character creation that you can get out of the game is pretty good. It's not the best that I've seen lately. That would go for Black Desert Online. But it is pretty in-depth enough for what the game is to warrant it being a positive and not tempering its performance at all. So you do get a lot of options in your character. You get a lot of voice options, appearance options. I have a whole character creation video where I go through. Just play that. That's going to be accurate enough. Or go watch that, I should say, not play that. Or download the game and play it yourself and kind of experience it. So that's some of the positives that I have in the game. From there, let's get to the things that I may not like that much. You know, there's going to be things that I don't like about this game. And I'll discuss those too. I'm not going to be 100% biased in my review. Again, I'm not even paying them any money the whole time I'm doing this. So some cons that the game suffers from is that its questing style is somewhat dated. This game came out in 2012 in China area or Korea, overseas. So from there, it does feel that sometimes the questing system is dated. Go get quest, do option A, grab quest, option B, do quest, option C, return quest, option A, re-grab quest. That's going to happen in this game. It's just the time and era it was made in is that was the opportune thing that they were converting over to. So keep that in mind, is that this game came out years ago overseas and we're just getting it now. So there's obviously going to be some things where like, oh, well, you know, like Guild Wars 2 has been out since 2012 and implemented better options that are less dated. But then again, that was revolutionary at that time that they entered theirs. So keep that always in mind too. So with that, let's get into another thing. The roles, though, I feel if you go ahead and let me hit K here and I hit this. So this tells me there's Dungeon Wind, and then it tells me there's Dungeon Earth. This, and then there's Hunting, and then there's Arena Match. Then there's a few other ones. I don't know if other classes have more options, but they recently, they asked me in a survey, like, do you understand the role of your class? And I'm like, no, I don't. But that's probably my fault because I haven't read anything about my class, or you're not relaying that information 100% to me. I don't know the difference between Wind and Earth without reading my abilities and reading what they do and reading which ones are better. I could only just assume at this point. So with that being said, keep that in mind, is that I wish they would define their rules. They would kind of maybe do like a tutorial system, like this is more defensive, this is more offensive, to kind of give players a better spec without, let me go in here and actually research what I find to be correct. I never ever have been a fan of that. I always kind of want to know what they're wanting of me. Let me grab that real quick. Okay, now something else that I have that can sometimes maybe irk me a little bit is the collision. Environment collision is one. There has been times where I get stuck, or I'm running with my sprint ability, and my character is kind of like rubber banding really fast like this. So when I'm rubber banding like that, my stamina's still fucking going down, but I'm not going anywhere. It's annoying. It's like, it's worse than if I ran into this wall. This wall is fine. Like, I'm not expected to do that. But if there's a fence, like I had earlier, and I jump over the fence with that space bar, I landed on top of the fence, and then I had to port to get out of there. Now, porting on this game is fairly expensive for a lower level player, and I don't feel like that's right to try and and have that happen to them, to where they're forced to port out of being stuck. I even tried like /stuck or something like that to try and get moved, like if it would allow me to do that. I've seen that a couple times in the MMOs, but this one, no /stuck feature, nothing like that. So let's go turn in some stuff. So keep that in mind, is that there is environment collision to where you have issues. Most of it has been with fences and stuff, so if you're gonna jump over a wall or something like that, just be careful. You don't want to get stuck. It's just a pain, and then you gotta back travel, which can take time. So keep that in mind. Like right there, that's what I'm talking about. The jitteriness right there. That's collision. And then like I can try jumping, but it's like sometimes I'll lag back behind, and it's not lag, it's collision. It's environment collision. That's there, and I know they're probably gonna fix some of these issues, but it's just something that they need to be aware of. Environment collision is not fun. It's not immersive, and it causes issues, and it kind of hurts the player's experience. So after environmental collision issues, let's get into the dungeon looting system. The dungeon looting system, how it works, and I show this in my Black Ram Hollows video that I did of the first dungeon that I ran, is that anytime any loot drops that's worth a fuck, you have to bid against the other players in order to get it. This guy's fucking me up. So you have to place a bid so that player A bids one copper or whatever it is, and then you have to bid 2 and 3, and then they could bid like 4 silver. It's nice, but it's not, because that extra money that's being generated from those bids is split between the other dungeon members, which all fine and dandy. But when you have a like they released like a 24-man dungeon instance, you're fucking telling me I'm gonna have to bid against 24 individuals in order to get loot. That makes no sense. Like raid drops, I mean, I understand that they're kind of up in the air of possibly changing this, but I feel like it shouldn't have been implemented that way to begin with. I don't feel that it's 100% fair for solo players. If you're in a guild, then they're going to be telling you like, hey, the bids between these 3 individuals, everybody else back out. And then those 3 individuals go at it. I'm sure there's guilds and how they deal with it on their own premise, but I don't feel like it's friendly system for an MMO player, and I almost prompts me like, let me try to solo some shit so I actually get greed on all the loot drops. So keep that in mind, is that I don't like sharing, and it's not like some people are locked out of certain items to bid on. No, anybody can bid on anything, even if they're using it or not. So if I have a summoner staff that drops, I could have some asshole of a monk over there bidding it up, and he's not even gonna fucking use it. He just wants to get more money out of me. So there is a trolling aspect, that if you get super rich people in the dungeon, they could be fucking assholes and just control the loot, and then that's kind of a little bit of a letdown. The other thing about dungeons that I want to cover is that when I ran my first dungeon, there was a higher level character in that dungeon. So there's like a level like 42 or 48 or something like that. Well, no, 42 in the dungeon, and it is like a level freaking like 20 dungeon or something like that. And the dude was like just one-shotting stuff. There's no scaling. So, like Guild Wars 2, when you go into a lower dungeon, it scales the player level down because there isn't a holy trinity, and allows them to go ahead and do that content and have it still be challenging. There was no challenge whatsoever. I mean, they were literally ruining it by going through and just one-shotting everything. That's not a dungeon to me, Like, I don't understand that maybe they're running it to get a certain item, and like that needs to happen, but I also think that they need to up the amount of like scaling, like scale them down to like the same level, the average level of the dungeon. So when they run the dungeon, it's not just a cakewalk into where they may be ruining the experience for somebody that just experiences the first time, and then they think dungeons are just a fucking walk in the park. Which, that kind of sucks, The only other thing that I have a complaint about is the RNG of the game. So here is a large Cinderlands reward chest. Now I'm going to get a healing tonic out of it, but I have a percentage of getting something else out of it too. Each one of these little percents next to everything. So there's like a sparkling venture token that's like, you know, like this is gonna happen. So if I open this is RNG, and I just got a healing tonic. That's what I mean, is that sometimes with the RNG it is frustrating to players. I do view RNG as somewhat a negative. I understand you need to have some type of random number generator, but you don't need to incorporate that into everything. That's ridiculous. So that covers my pros and my cons, guys. Let's get into some things that might be controversial, that may affect certain players, depending on their taste and whatnot. One thing to know about this is that Blade and Soul has very voluptuous female models, with very, very ridiculous breast physics. I'm just going to throw that out there, is there's a whole lot of jiggle. Throughout the whole game, there's a whole lot of the overtop fan service over the game. This could be bad. This can push people away. It also could bring in people, but I feel that, you know, it's just the culture that's over there. They have toned back some of the outfits for the females and censored it for the United States. I don't know if we have a setting to remove that censorship. I mainly just play my summoner. I don't have another character that's a female. But some of the NPCs I see, or some of the characters that you run into the story, are a little bit over the top. And that can push people away from the game and really turn them off of the game. But then again, it could bring in those 13-year-old kids that are just like, you know, like, oh, this is the best thing ever. So keep that in mind. The only other thing that I would say was kind of controversial would be their subscription service. Their subscription service is really, really good. Okay? It's really, really good. It gives you a lot of things. It gives you a lot of benefits over the free-to-play model. But then again, let's refer back to previously in my review where I stated to you, sometimes it doesn't matter. Like, I have not subscribed to Blade and Soul at all. I have never been forced to subscribe. I've never been pressured to where I feel like I need to. So far in my leveling experience, I don't need the 10% increase in gold. I don't need the 10% increase in experience and whatever else they offer. So keep that in mind, is that they do offer a sub feature and it is good, but you know, some people, when that sub feature is there, they instantly just say, no, you're pay to win, I'm out of here. So in my player experience so far in PvE, I haven't had that issue, at least not until in game. So keep that in mind if you're playing the game. Anyways, guys, this covers my impressions. If you feel that I missed something, or you feel that you want me to elaborate on something that I feel, or you want to convince me that maybe a con's a pro, then let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more gaming content on YouTube. And as always, guys, I will see you next time.